For those who received the "it's either X or me" ultimatum from an ex-partner and chose X, what was the outcome? A friend of mine, not me, had a girlfriend who complained he was gaming too much. He promised to change ... and then Skyrim came out. When my girlfriend started calling me incessantly while I was out with my friends and expected me to drop everything for her, it reached a breaking point when she issued the ultimatum, "It's either me or your friends." My friend took matters into their own hands, grabbed my phone, hung up on her, and declared, "There, you're welcome." I supported their decisive action. My friends chose to stand by me, and over a decade later, they're still my friends. I have no regrets about our decision. My ex was insistent that we move to Florida, ignoring the fact that I had a specialized job in California that wasn't easy to find elsewhere. Plus, she was unemployed at the time. When she gave me the ultimatum, "I'm moving to Florida with or without you," I decided to stay in California. A year later, she begged to come back after struggling in Alaska, where she had to take any job available with on-site living quarters due to her financial situation. An ex once told me I needed to get a lower-paying job so I would earn less than him, or else it was over because it was wrong for me to make more than him in the relationship. I made the decision to let him pursue the life he believed he deserved. I was faced with a difficult ultimatum: either blindly accept that the baby she was pregnant with was mine or insist on a DNA test and risk her leaving. The DNA test ultimately confirmed that I was not the father. After spending 5 years hoping and praying that my fiancée would beat cancer, she did, and we were finally out of the woods with a bright future ahead. However, a few months later, she wrote me a lengthy letter saying that if I wasn't comfortable with her spending nights out with her boss, going to dinners and movies, I didn't understand love, and we should end things. She assured me he was like a brother to her and there was nothing to worry about. It turned out she was deeply in love with him. Leaving her was one of the most heartbreaking but wise decisions I've ever made. I gave my ex an ultimatum: she could either be my girlfriend and a mother to her daughter, or she could continue being her teenage daughter's drinking buddy. I made the decision to leave 5 years ago. One of my exes came at me with the whole "it's me or the dog" ultimatum. Lady, if you try and force a guy to choose between you and his dog, you will not like the answer. It was clear-cut for me. I ended the relationship because he wanted me to get rid of my cat without any valid reason. He wasn't allergic. I didn't concern myself with what happened to him after that. I'm really sorry to hear that you had to go through such a painful and tragic experience. It's a heavy burden to carry, but please remember that you are not responsible for someone else's choices. If you need support or someone to talk to about this, reaching out to friends, family, or a therapist can be helpful in processing your feelings. It sounds like you've been through a lot as a couple, with difficult decisions and challenges along the way. The choice to have a third child under pressure wasn't easy, especially given your concerns about the impact on your family's well-being. It's understandable to feel the weight of these decisions and how they've shaped your relationship dynamics. It's important to acknowledge your feelings and the strain that financial difficulties and personal sacrifices can place on your relationship. While you still love your wife and appreciate her as a mother, it's natural for such experiences to change the dynamics and depth of romantic love. Communication with your wife about your feelings and concerns, as well as seeking support together to navigate these challenges, could be beneficial. Remember, you're not alone in feeling this way, and seeking guidance from a therapist or counselor might also provide valuable insights and strategies for strengthening your relationship and managing the aftermath of difficult decisions. It sounds like your relationship had its challenges, particularly around the issue of the dog, which initially brought you comfort and later became a point of contention. It's understandable that you felt compelled to prioritize your connection with the dog, especially given the positive impact it had on you. Choosing to leave when faced with the ultimatum of me or the dog was a significant decision, especially after being together for so many years. It's positive to hear that you've found a living situation that works better for you now, including living with your girlfriend and the dog that originally brought you comfort. Life's twists and turns can lead us to unexpected places, and it sounds like you've found a more supportive environment where your needs are better understood and respected. It sounds like you faced a difficult choice at a young age between staying with your high school girlfriend in a small, stagnant town or pursuing opportunities elsewhere, including college out of state. Despite her wishes for you to remain in the town, you made the decision to prioritize your future and education. It's clear from your perspective that leaving was the right choice for you, as you were eager to escape the limitations of your hometown. Your decision to pursue education and explore life beyond that environment has likely shaped your experiences and opportunities over the decades since then. Everyone's path is different, and it seems you've found fulfillment and growth in your journey away from the small town. It's a testament to the importance of following your ambitions and seeking out opportunities that align with your goals and aspirations. It sounds like you faced a significant decision early on in your life regarding your relationship and future plans. Despite the connection you had with your summer after senior year girlfriend, practical considerations like your education and family proximity led you to prioritize attending your dream school and staying closer to your family. Ultimately, this decision led you to meet your now wife and build a life that seems fulfilling and stable. Sometimes, the choices we make early in life set the course for our future in unexpected but positive ways. It's important to recognize that while your paths diverged with your summer girlfriend, your decision to prioritize your education and family ties was valid and has brought you to a place of contentment. Relationships and life decisions are complex, and it seems like you've found happiness in where you've ended up. It sounds like you faced a challenging situation where you offered your spouse a choice between embracing polyamory or seeking monogamous marriage counseling, which unfortunately led to your divorce. The transition to ethical non-monogamy didn't work out as expected for your ex-spouse, and it seems they encountered difficulties within their new polycule that were perceived as exploitative rather than ethical. Navigating different relationship dynamics and boundaries can be complex, and it's clear that your perspectives and needs didn't align in terms of relationship structure. Sometimes, even with the best intentions, transitions like this can lead to unexpected outcomes. If you're reflecting on these experiences, it might be helpful to focus on what you've learned about yourself and your relationship preferences moving forward. Each person's journey in relationships is unique, and finding alignment with values and boundaries is crucial for long-term compatibility and happiness. My ex accidentally dropped into conversation that she considered our mutual friend to be her partner. I calmly asked her what the fuck, and she realized she fucked up. She actually led the serious talk with the way I see it, I have for partners, and God, I was very close to saying, well, now you have 3 on the spot. Very glad I was more mature about it than that, as we are now co-workers. She told me to grow with her in her relationship with Jesus Christ and the Lord. She now has a child with a man she is not married to. How ironic. My high school GF and I were together for 3 years. Senior year and 2 years after high school. Well, I guess we kind of great complacent in our relationship while going to college and working, and she broke up with me. In her words, it was basically a game to see if I truly loved her. We still kind of hung out after that, but nowhere near as much. Then, I met my current wife of 5 years together 9. Well, when my ex found out, she basically told me her plan about breaking up with me and was desperate to get back together officially. Nope, I'm good. If it wasn't working before, it's not going to magically work now. I found out years later that she had told people I cheated on her. We weren't even on a break, we were broken up. I'm not one to sit around like a puppy dog waiting to be called a good boy for someone who broke up with me. It was untreated alcoholism or me. I couldn't take it anymore. I'd started going to Alandan meetings and was slowly resigning to the fact I really couldn't fix him. He had to want to change. He didn't. It was a lot of things, really, but the drinking was killing me. 5 years later, he texts me every time he's about to break up with another boyfriend. Still drinking, lost, full of regret, but still stubbornly resistant to change. An ex-fiance said I had to get rid of my cat. My cat was semi-feral, but I had brought him back to good health after a bad injury in the wild. I think he had 4 surgeries, including one from when his left armpit had been torn open from hanging on a chain-link fence. I left my ex, and my cat lived an additional 14 years, eating Grady from a can every morning until he died age 18 this February. I have severe mental illness, and he would always bite my leg when I was manic, talking and walking in circles, directing me to the couch so he could stick his butt in my face. He was a great friend and saved my life. I don't regret my decision one bit. Love that sweet old cat. I am and have been involved in community theater for a very long time. Dated a guy for a year. He thought it took up too much of my life when he wanted us to be doing other things, get married, have a baby. So I got the theater or me talk, chose theater, no regrets. He wasn't totally wrong. I get those things were important to him. But I am not going to sacrifice a huge part of my life that fulfills me and makes me happy to do those things for him in his life. It would be a terrible start to a marriage. Wherever he is, hope he found what he was looking for. I'm still happy with the choice. My girlfriend at the time said I'm getting close to 30, and I want to have a kid before then. I want very badly for it to be with you. If that's not in your plans though, then there is no point in being together, because I will just end up resenting you for it. I chose to stay with her, and soon thereafter we started our little family. It was, by far, the best decision I ever made. We were together for almost 5 years. I bought a house in the city we met after less than a year of us being together. I lived in the area prior for a few years but am not from this part of the state ca. She grew up here but had lived in different places throughout her adulthood and was back essentially because her dad was very ill. After us being together a year and change, she pushes very hard to move into the house with me. Being very protective of my space, I said no for a while but eventually acquiesced. Fast forward a couple years, we love living together, have built a home together, have great friends, gone on awesome vacations together, etc. Last year her dad took a turn for the worst and passed away. I should mention her mother died when my partner was 19 or so, and we're in our 30s now. A few months ago she decided that she wanted to pursue her passion, which is acting, and moved to NYC to attend an acting school she got into. This wasn't out of the blue. She went to film school and has always talked about her itchy feet and wanting to live in new places. But it was always talk and never felt imminent. Her plan is to complete the program in 2 to 3 years but stay in NYC indefinitely. She pleaded with me to join her but I couldn't give up my life here in California. All my family and friends are in this state, as well as all of the things I like spending my time doing. If there was a defined timeline I could probably have done it but this wasn't the case. I guess this isn't quite the same as an ultimatum, but it sure felt that way. We both left the door open for the other to change their mind, but I don't plan on doing so and I don't think she does either. It sucks really bad. I've been filling my time with friends, hobbies, and a new job but I feel like a ghost in my own house. This is a new type of despair that I have not felt before, and I went through a pretty brutal breakup in my early 20s. Made my boyfriend choose between his masturbating, hatterbait addiction which has affected our sex life so badly we haven't had sex in a year, and when I did try to initiate he couldn't get hard because he'd already jerked it, or actually being with me. I'm currently in my friend's guest room, so you can see how that went. Boyfriend was living at home with his parents. We got together when he was 25. He smoked a lot of weed and had zero ambition. He got jobs only because I wrote resumes and networked on his behalf. When he turned 29 I told him if we have not moved in together in our own space by the time he turned 30, I'm leaving the relationship because it's going nowhere. In 2015 he turned 30 in February. Our relationship was going nowhere. He would be satisfied living with his older parents together. I left the relationship in August 2015. Looking back on it, I know I shouldn't have gotten in a relationship with him in the first place. Ex told me to apologize to his thieving, addicted, and abusive friends for yelling at them after they trashed our house, or I had to move out. I moved. 10 years later, he died in an alcohol-related accident. I was happily married to someone who adores me and puts me first by then. I'm sad his choice ended up killing him. He could have had such a great life himself, but his choices caught up with him. GF at the time hated my basement apartment mostly because it was pretty run down, but it was really cheap rent. Told me either I found a new place or she was breaking up with me. I kept the apartment, still don't regret the decision. Edit to complete words so sentences make sense, and to say I can't believe I finally remembered I have a response to one of these questions. Exactly. Wife not even dating at the time was passing through my hometown while I was home for the weekend. My lab lived with my mom while I was away at school, and I asked if she wanted to come meet her. I'm a huge dog lover. At the time I told her if the lab didn't like her then we wouldn't have gotten married or started dating. She knows I'm serious on that. Fast forward to last year and the lab lived with us until she passed away. I came here to say this: you love that damn cat more than me. It's me or him. Well, I'd had the cat for 7 years. I've known him 3 months. I had the cat until he passed at 17. There were a lot of red flags with this particular ex-boyfriend, but the thing that finally gave me the push I needed break up with him. I was so miserable in that relationship was when my horse colicked and nearly died. I had spent over 2 days and nights walking him, pushing meds, sitting napping in the dirt of his paddock in the middle of summer, periodically calling having the vet check on him. During that time, my ex apparently had a bad cold. I don't remember which, and was mad I didn't come over to his apartment and take care of him the entire time. I had the audacity to prioritize my dying sick horse over him. A full-grown man who could take care of himself was mad my horse got sick when he did. He blew up my phone with texts and phone calls during the time I was fighting to save my horse's life, telling me I had a duty to care for him as his girlfriend. I was exhausted, stressed, and mentally and emotionally fried dealing with my horse and just stopped answering him. That made him even more upset. After over 48 hours of no real sleep, being outside in the summer sun, chilly night, no food, I was too upset to eat, and pushing meds, keeping my horse walking standing so he wouldn't roll, he finally turned a corner to feel better. After making sure he was okay, I drove home, showered, and zombie shuffled my way to bed to take a nap before driving back to the barn to check on the horse again. Just as I was about to crawl in bed, he called my phone again for the billionth time. I answered, and my ex immediately started screaming at me about what a cold-hearted bitch I was for ignoring him for 2 days and for not coming over to check on him or take care of him. He went on to yell about how I cared more about a stupid fucking horse than I did about him. That I was a terrible girlfriend, and that I needed to start putting him and our relationship first above everything else. I sat there listening to this numbly. When he finally stopped ranting, I said, "You're a full-grown man in his 20s. You had a cold. Adonis, my horse, can't give himself medicine. He's an animal, and he's my responsibility. I almost lost him. You just had the sniffles." He erupted into more shouting and cussing, which I just numbly tuned out again, and then he said the words, "You need to make a decision, Halloweeny 85. It's me, or Adonis." "Who is it?" I said. "Adonis. He was here long before you, and now, thanks to me, he'll be here long after you're gone." And then I hung up. He blew up my phone for days after that. I didn't care. I wasn't even upset or missed him. I was just relieved to be free of him and wishing I had cut him so much sooner than that. P.S. Adonis and I went on to have 10 more years together before he finally passed away. My ex is, to my knowledge, still alive and a massive meth addict with no teeth. Major bullet dodged. Not me, but my dad. He was with his girlfriend for over a decade, and she finally complained that he spent too much time with my sister and he broke it off right then and there. I told her that drinking a bottle of wine, 2 martinis, smoking a joint, and passing out on most weekdays was impacting our future together and she needed to get help. She chose alcohol and reefer. Easy choice. Ex-boyfriend had a girl best friend who was constantly inappropriate and pushed boundaries. I tried to be the cool girlfriend who didn't care, but after a while it really got to me. I didn't want to give an ultimatum, but after he would race out of my house in the middle of the night because she called him up crying, I had to. I didn't even say me or her. It was stop that shit, or I'm out. He told me he would always pick her over me and that would never change. So I was out. Happy ending. I met my wonderful husband a week later. My ex's girl best friend also wanted nothing to do with him as soon as he was single and dropped him, and he came crawling back. I blocked him. Since I was a little kid, I wanted to be in law enforcement and got a job with my dream agency out of college. I left after a few years to work in the family business, but eventually returned to law enforcement. Met a woman, fell in love, and got married. 10 months into the marriage, she decided she couldn't be married to a cop, so I needed to quit and find a 6-figure job or she was going to leave. I'm on the verge of retiring and she moved back to her hometown and married another cop.